My name is Victor Reed. Why did I pretend to die at the airport? I stood at the busy departure gate. I watched the screens and people. I had a secret plan. I knew the time of boarding and the delay. I saw my partner with our luggage. I felt cold and calm. I told a small lie to them. I wanted a clean break. I wanted to go to a new destination. I knew I would be betrayed later. I loved the risk. I smiled and moved away when customs blocked the gate. I left my passport and my wallet in a chair. I watched my partner cry. I walked to a quiet area and I disappeared. How could I do this? This is my voice. I am the villain in my own story. My name is Victor Reed and I tell this story in my voice. I am calm and I am careful. I have a small plan. The flight was delayed. The boarding time moved. I watched the board. The delay helped me. I had a ticket for a late departure. I had a visa and a layover planned. I wanted to go far from this life. My partner did not know. We arrived early with 2 pieces of luggage. We waited at the gate. We held our passports in our hands. I smiled and spoke in a soft voice. I will go to the toilet, I said. I will be right back. They nodded and started to read. I walked toward a quiet corridor. I saw the customs line and the busy shops. I placed my wallet and passport on a chair. I left my coat with the luggage tag. I wanted them to think I was here. I sent a quick text. I wrote a short message to my helper. The helper is someone I trust. He waits near the departure hall. I felt my heart beat fast. I thought about the word betrayal. I thought about the truth they could never know. I told myself this is the only way. I did not want a fight at customs. I did not want to be stopped. I wanted a new life at my destination. I moved away and watched from a distance. I saw my partner look up and search. They called my name. The voice was loud and afraid. I let them call. I stayed quiet and still. I watched my partner run to our luggage. They held the passport. They touched the chair where I left my things. I saw the fear in their face. I felt a strange calm. I stepped into a small stairwell and I watched the gate again. The plan was simple but risky. I knew the board would show departure soon. I waited for the right moment. I knew the airport vocabulary well. I knew the border staff and the normal checks. I knew how to create a gap. Now the story moves to the moment I vanish. I waited for the right moment at the stairwell. I watched the boarding call on my phone. The flight was close to departure. People walked fast. My helper sent one short message. He said, now. I left my phone on a bench. I walked to a low wall and sat. I breathed slow. I wanted them to think I was gone. I went to a small restroom and changed my hat and coat. I put the leather jacket into a bag. I looked like another man. I felt strange and free. I heard an announcement about turbulence over the destination. The voice said the plane may have small turbulence. People looked worried. My partner came back with our luggage. They showed the boarding pass to the staff. I saw them through a glass door. They asked the gate agent about my boarding. The gate agent checked and said he was here, but now he is gone. My heart hit my ribs. I walked to the other side of the terminal. I watched from a cafe and I drank a cup of coffee. I watched the security cameras from a distance. I saw my partner speak to a police officer at the desk. They looked scared and tired. The officer asked about my passport. My partner said it was here. He left it. The officer asked, "Are you sure?" They cried and shook their head. I put on a new face and walked away. I used the layover plan and a short taxi ride to a small private gate. I had arranged a small bag of extra clothes. I had a fake name for a new visa. My helper gave me a small envelope. Inside was a new ticket and a note. The note said, "Go now. Leave everything. Do not look back." I felt the pain of this choice. The word betrayed came to my mind, but I told myself it was survival. I used my luggage tag to call a taxi. I left a small note in my old coat pocket to make the story real. The note said, "I am sorry. I could not stay." I walked through a quiet area and I saw the plane on the runway. The engines were loud. I thought of the sound of departure. I remember the moment I thought I was free. But the story was not over. A small voice in my head asked me if I had done the right thing. I kept walking. I walked into the crowd and I disappeared. I am far now, but I think of that day. My new ticket said the next layover would be short. I changed my appearance again in a small hotel near the airport. I used the money in the envelope. I told the hotel a different name. I slept and woke at dawn. I checked my new passport and visa. I felt small fear. I knew the airport staff would find my wallet. They would call my partner. I watched the news on a small screen. I saw an item about a missing traveler at the airport. The camera showed a gate and a chair with luggage. I felt a soft pain. I had not wanted to hurt them, but I had wanted a new life. My partner looked into the camera with red eyes. I saw their face and I almost walked outside. I sat down. I remembered the warm hands on my back when we first met. I thought of small simple moments. Then I told myself to be strong. I had planned for days for this new life. I had planned the departure and the route. I had thought about turbulence and quick flights. I had thought about my destination and a quiet room. But the thing I did not plan was their grief. I had not planned the empty chair or the sound of my name at customs. I felt guilt, but I kept moving. I called my helper. He said the plan was working. He said the passport was at a lost and found desk. He said my partner had no proof of a crime. I felt relief and shame. At a small airport cafe on the other side of the world, I watched people with luggage. I heard a child ask about a passport. I smiled at the child and I thought of our old life. The secret of my fake death lived on. People told the story at the gate. They talked about betrayal and lies. I read old messages from my partner. I read the last line, "Where are you?" I closed the message. I walked to the window and watched a plane lift. I felt a small wind on my face. I thought of the lesson I would learn. Then I heard a soft knock on my hotel door. My helper whispered, "You must move now." I packed and I left the room. A new departure waited. I left without turning back. I hoped the choice would be the right one. The story moves to an ending. There is a lesson here for you. I am Victor Raid and I end this story with a quiet lesson. I made a plan and I left. I faked my death and I ran. I won a new life, but I lost trust and love. I saw the pain in my partner's eyes. That pain will stay with me like a small scar. The lesson is clear and simple. Truth and trust matter. A lie can open a door, but it can break a heart. If you learn one thing from my tale, learn to speak and to listen. If you must leave, say the truth when you can. For English learners, remember airport words: passport, boarding, customs, luggage, visa, departure, delayed, layover, turbulence, destination. Say them aloud. Use them in a sentence. I hope this story helps your English and your courage. The small final truth is this: choose kindness. Work on your words. Learn from error. Speak true, even when it is hard. Thank you for listening to my story and for learning with me.